Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Live on SABC2. It's one of our special programs, the TNA program in collaboration with the SABC. We're hosting the Minister of Mineral Resources, Mosebenzi Zwane, the DG as well as the DDG. We're talking more in fact, we'll be talking more on the mining charter. We do know that there are so many comments on the mining charter. Some are saying that the minister unilaterally took the decision to amend the charter, but we'll hear what he's got to say regarding that. Just before the ad break, Minister, you were still elaborating on the progress made thus far, but you were talking on the issue of fatalities.
In 2004, we had 615 people dying annually in our mines. Earlier this year, we released the stats of last year, which was actually the lowest stats ever, 77 fatalities.
That I must say, one life lost is still too many.
And we are saying we want to push further to reach our goal of zero harm. What I'm indicating is that we have made progress around these issues. When you go to issues of injuries in the mines, 2004, we used to stand at around 9,000 injuries per annum. As we are speaking, we've been able to reduce the number of injuries at that level to 3,000. We're not happy, but we're making progress. The beneficiation strategy was adopted in 2011, ensuring that we begin to complete the value chain here at home. The public and the people of South Africa used to complain that our mineral resources were taken abroad without being processed at home. I am happy that strides have been made in that regard, and we continue using our entities and other arms of government to ensure that we begin to really process our minerals here at home to add value and further create more jobs for the people of South Africa.
Now, going back to the issue of fatalities, what is still lacking behind?
Well, I must say, when it comes to the issues of injuries and fatalities, because of the nature of mining activities, sometimes we have issues like rockfall that comes when you least expect. But I'm happy to say the systems have been put in place, and as we meet with the stakeholders, mines, we are happy to say they've actually taken a step further to ensure that they organize themselves around the agenda of health and safety in mines to ensure that we reach our goal of zero harm.
Now, Msiza, the acting DG, let me just bring you in here. Let's talk about the issue of the social labor plans. We do know that previously this was not well coordinated, but things have changed. In 2009, the department started to conduct inspections to ensure that these mining companies do deliver in terms of corporate social investment. How far has that gone now?
I think there's been great strides that have been made in this regard. Because SLPs or social labor plans are used as a mechanism to make sure that there is benefit accruing to the communities, not only communities from the neighboring mines, but labor sending areas. Now, in terms of implementation, because it is a legal requirement, in terms of the implementation of the SLPs, there has been a significant improvement in infrastructure built, including housing, including roads, including schools, including healthcare facilities. We've been together with the minister in the Northwest recently, where we've been launching one of the projects from one of the mining companies, and minister has also been going around launching. So there has been significant strides that have been made in this regard. And we, together with the other stakeholders, we are working together through the presidential special package, including the framework agreement process that is also been led by the president, to make sure that we revive the mining towns. As you know, we have an unfortunate legacy in the past where, when mining pulls out, then they become challenges with the neighboring communities and the workers. So there is a process that it has been put in place to deal with it. Now, moving forward, we are also reviving the law which is the MPRDA bill, to make sure that there's alignment between our SLPs that should be implemented by the sector and the municipality programs that are run through IDPs. Because one of the concerns that they've been having is that there's misalignment in terms of what are the needs of the communities and the municipalities and the SLPs are themselves. So there is a process that we are embarking in terms of that as well.
But are the mining companies coming on board? I mean, we've recently seen the residents somewhere in Limpopo, they were protesting, saying that this mine operating in our area is not doing us anything.
I think, obviously, with the great strides that have been made, we must also admit that there are still challenges that we are facing in some of the areas, and hence we are strengthening the laws. Hence, we are also, in terms of the law, monitoring compliance with the provisions of the MPRDA. I mean, there are notices that have been continuously being issued to ensure that we work together. But most importantly, Palesa, I think one of the challenges is information that we have to share with the communities. Communities must understand also the provisions of the law, the municipalities as well. We're working together through COCTA to make sure that there's alignment, because municipalities will also complain that, we see that there's SLP projects that are being run by the mine, but, they are not aligned to what we want to achieve as a
So there's still a long way to go.
Yes, but we'll continuously work together with the sector and the other stakeholders to make sure that there's significant benefits accruing to the communities.
Dr. Mabuza, one thorny issue when we talk mining is job losses. We've seen great job losses. Companies are retrenching their workers. And I do know the department has been saying in the past that they're engaging with those companies to see how they can go about, prohibiting that from happening. How far has the department gone in that regard?
Thank you, Palesa. I think it's important to place this conversation around job losses in its appropriate global context. The losses of jobs in the economy broadly and the mining industry in particular is a global phenomenon. The Australian mining industry is losing significant amount of jobs. Communities that were traditionally mining communities are struggling in that part of the world, far more than what we are experiencing in South Africa. Latin America is going through a very difficult time as a mining jurisdiction bloc. Canada is experiencing its own set of challenges, and the list is long when you look at all the mining jurisdictions in dealing with this thorny issue of job losses. And in that context, South Africa is not immune to the notion of job losses, given the sustained challenges that we've been grappling with since the start of the implosion of the global economic crisis. Having said that, you would be aware that the stakeholders, all key stakeholders, signed the declaration on job losses in August last year, and streamlining all the efforts and activities to do all that we can to minimize the job losses. And to that effect, we believe that this intervention, and it's a stakeholder intervention, obviously led by government, by our minister here, is yielding results.
Is it really yielding results? Between 2012 and 2015, we've seen about 47,000 job losses. Is that positive result?
Well, I'm saying it's positive because I think it could have been over 100,000 jobs. And as you know, in our context, there's a multiplier of 1 to 10 for every direct employment that we have. Is it inevitable that some jobs will be lost in the current environment? Yes. And so those jobs that could not be protected in the current environment have not been protected. If it were not for this intervention, we believe that perhaps it could have been far more significant than what we have experienced.
We're talking about this intervention, Minister, and yet you personally said that about 32,000 jobs are actually under threat. My question again, the very same one that I posed on that day, Mabuza over there, is the intervention really doing wonders?
Well, let me say, Palesa, before the intervention, we ourselves used to see companies going public to say we are retrenching an X amount of workers. And that will actually happen. After the intervention, we have been able to align the processes. We have brought CCMA to be part of the process. We ourselves should be consulted before any announcement can be done, and we go in detail in terms of satisfying ourselves that the 10-point plan that we have agreed upon, that ensures at the end of the day that retrenchments of workers becomes the last resort, happens. We are glad that after this agreement was done in March 2015, and 16,000 jobs were at stake. We were able to engage with stakeholders and put all those jobs in abeyance and followed these points that we had agreed upon. And as you would see on papers publicly, very fewer companies are beginning to come to that space without us knowing, and we do not just leave them. We engage them and say, why would you move over the agreement and do your own things? We are happy to say to the people of South Africa that indeed we are succeeding to ensure that we cooperate along those lines and save more jobs and ensure that whatever happens in the sector happens in a way that respects our people, because you must know, if you retrench people, you are actually not retrenching one person or 10 people, because one family, one head of the family has about 6-7 people at home. So I think we are in charge of that process, and we are happy, but we are sure that more can still be done around that area to save and create more jobs.
Well, one other issue that has been on the news lately is the Lily Mine issue. I would want us to talk more about that, but we have to take a break. We're taking a commercial break. Morning Live continues after that station.